What's up, guys? This is going to be an open response video to anybody who wants to make a comment or a response to this, and it's been something that's been on my mind for a little while. With the success of popular television shows like Pawn Stars and American Pickers and Storage Wars and all these reality shows about getting stuff for cheap and reselling it. And there's shows on YouTube now, including the Game Chasers and other YouTubers who go out garage selling and picking up games and flipping them for a profit. So with that said, this is what I want to discuss. What do you guys think about resellers? Now, there's a couple. First, you need to distinguish what a reseller is. Clearly, it's someone who buys games and resells them for a profit. But it goes a little bit deeper than that. A lot of us here on YouTube, the collectors especially, look at resellers in a very bad light. You think of them as that dirty, shady guy who charges $30 for a loose card of Mario 3. That's what we usually think of when we think of resellers, and we always look down on them and everything else. But really, we are all resellers in a sense, in some way or another. Whether you trade in your games at GameStop, your used games that you don't play anymore, for credit, you're technically trading in or selling those games to GameStop for some credit so you can buy games in their store. Technically reselling, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. Are you reselling if you trade your games with other friends? I wouldn't say so. That's what I usually do, and that's what I've been doing since I was a young kid. I would trade games with my friends, and they would trade something back to me. Like I would trade Breath of Fire 3 and get Chrono Cross or something like that, or we trade again later in the future. There's differences between trading and reselling. I think we can all agree on that. But as far as actually like opening your own store or a flea market booth or selling on eBay, this is what resellers are. Now, I found myself always looking down on resellers on YouTube and on eBay. I wasn't outright rude with them or anything. I kind of looked down on them as those people who went out to garage sales and intentionally went for the intent on reselling games. That's what I had a problem with. Now, if you go out like I did, which I thought was fine, going to a thrift store or a Goodwill, finding games like I found Sega Master System games for 25 cents, I wanted to add those to my collection. I was buying those games for the intent on keeping them and adding them to my collection for collecting purposes. But those people who go out to garage sales, I looked down on them when they first started their channels, and I was like, well, these guys are resellers. They're not doing it for the right reasons. And I quickly changed my opinion on that, because I realized that these guys are collectors first and they are resellers second. If they found something good when they were out garage selling or something, they would keep it in their collections and sell the crap or the doubles. I don't know why I looked down on this, because to me it didn't seem, I don't know, it seemed weird that it seemed wrong, I guess. It seemed kind of morally wrong to me, because it was like you're ripping people off in a sense when you go to a garage sale, because these people don't know what they have, you know. But these people take risks when they decide to sell their stuff to people. They could do the effort and go research on eBay all on their own. So in that sense, I don't know why some people look down on them. I was the same. I looked down on them too. Here's a couple reasons why I don't, and I think a lot of other people don't, like resellers. One, they overcharge the crap out of common games and just games in general. Two, it just makes the collecting market way more difficult to collect for. In other words, finding, you know, very easily found games and common games becomes very expensive, and it makes collecting a lot more difficult than it would be if you were collecting 10 years ago. Collecting 10 years ago is way cheaper than it is nowadays. If you want to go try to find a copy of, I don't know, Final Fantasy 7 or something, you're going to spend like $50 now. I mean, the price has gone down, granted, but 10, 15 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, it was $20 or so. Same thing with, you know, just any games in general. Everything has gone up. Everything. And resellers are to blame in an extent to this, because, you know, if all of them raise their prices extremely high, there are those collectors out there, that diehards that had the games when they were kids. They will pay that price to get that game regardless of what the price is, within reason. So what does everybody do? The resellers, all of them, raise their prices. $70 for Final Fantasy 3, loose cart. $100 for Chrono Trigger, loose cart. I mean, the Earthbound prices, it's ridiculous. Another reason to hate resellers is that they are constantly increasing the prices of games to find at thrift stores and Goodwills. If you go to certain, you know, thrift shops now, they think they can cash in on the little cash grab and charge, you know, $20 for Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo, loose cart. Or, you know, I go into thrift shops and see like $30 for PlayStation 1s in terrible conditions with the console only. And they're thinking that every video game item is gold that comes into their store, and that is simply not the case. They see the people on eBay charging an arm and a leg for things, and they see just the asking price, so they automatically think, those thrift store owners automatically think that the games are worth this, even though the items aren't selling. They're just asking prices, and those aren't really the prices that those sellers are actually getting. So it's ruining, you know, thrift shop experiences, which I really enjoyed back in the day, and I just see it's getting worse and worse now. Now, why are resellers good? Recently, I have found myself reselling. I opened an eBay account, actually a selling account, because I've already been shopping on eBay, but I have a lot of doubles. Where did I get these doubles from? Well, a lot of them were given to me by friends or left over by my friends, including lots of strategy guides and a lot of doubles I picked up in lots that I bought from eBay. So I have all these extra things that I need to get rid of. Now, I looked at myself in this own situation. I was like, well, you are now a reseller since you're reselling things. But am I one of those resellers? That is my main point in this video. Are resellers bad? No. But there are those resellers, those guys, and then there are other resellers, good resellers, which I think I am now a part of. Those resellers are the guys that charge $30 for Mario 3 when they know damn well it's not worth that much. But they know that the average Joe, common gamer, who played Mario 3 back in the day 20 years ago, will pick it up on nostalgic value, and they'll pay a little extra for it when they know that the average gamer that comes in there knows way better than that. They'll pay maybe $15 for Mario 3 loose. So there's those resellers, and then there's regular resellers. Me, you know, I sold a lot of Super Nintendo RPGs. I know the values of them, and I know if I broke those up I could have got a lot more money. But I want to save time, and for me, getting rid of my collection to fellow collectors is my goal. That would be my goal, is to make some money on my doubles and put them in the hands of collectors who don't have those games. Unfortunately, I can't control on eBay, to my knowledge, who buys my games, really. So unfortunately, when I sold some of my stuff at a pretty good price, I would say, I found out that the person who bought my games were resellers. And there's tons of popular resellers on eBay. And what I mean by popular is they're they're well known on eBay as being resellers. They'll sell you, you see tons of lots on their channels, or on their pages, eBay pages, of lot of 20 common Nintendo games, and they'll charge like $70 for the common lot. One of those guys bought my lot of stuff. So unfortunately, that was one of those resellers who got my things, and they're probably going to charge, oh, I had a couple things in there. I had Mystic Quest, Donkey Kong Country, Legend of Zelda, all those. And I think I got about $75 for the lot. And I had a lot more stuff in there too. I had Zelda, Mario, I think Mega Man X. I had a couple more games in there, and it was a Super Nintendo, very clean one with controllers and everything. They're going to charge probably $20-25 each game, plus $50 for the Super Nintendo probably, if not more. And they're going to break that up and make more profit. And unfortunately, I can't control who buys my games on eBay. I just have to take whoever buys it. So twice this has happened to me. I know for a fact that it was a popular reseller on eBay that bought my games. So if I had a choice, I would put my games in the hands of collectors, because they're doing it for collecting reasons. I understand these guys are businessmen, but that's what the point of this video is. There are guys who do it for the money, and there's guys who do it for the collecting purposes. And that's where I have the issue, because I'm in it for the collectors, and I'm rooting for you guys, and I'm a collector myself. But then there's those guys who just are doing it strictly on the money, because they know video games are hot now, and they can charge an arm and a leg and get it. Now, there's people on YouTube, I don't believe they're those guys. I honestly believe they're collectors first and resellers second. Now, reselling to profit and what's the word? Finance your hobby, I think is totally fine. Now, us being collectors, we have knowledge of what games are worth. Like me, I basically have in my head, I know what a lot of stuff is worth when I go out there. For example, I went to a flea market and I found Killer Instinct Gold and Mario Golf for $2 each. I had both games, but I knew what the worth was. So in this instant, I found myself being one of those reseller guys. I found myself crossing to the dark side. I thought it was wrong, because in my mind, I know that this guy is he is a reseller, but he obviously isn't very knowledgeable, or was too lazy to look at the prices. And I was taking advantage of him, I guess you could say, but he asked this price. I paid it. I knew what these games were really worth, what I could get out of them. So I found myself doing that. Am I wrong? I don't know. Answer that question to yourself and ask yourself that question. Is it wrong to do that when you go to a garage sale and rip off a little old lady? Rip off being in quotes, I mean, because they're asking for a price, you're giving it to them. It's not your job to tell them what their stuff's worth. Granted. But I still felt a little wrong. Then again, you know, I knew that I could pick up these games, flip them, as a lot of people like to say, and finance getting something that I really want. So I sold I sold the Killer Instinct and the Mario Golf, along with a lot of other N64 games, for a profit. And I used that profit to pick me up a game that I've been wanting, Wild Arms, for the PS1, in good shape. Now that's the whole point of flipping, so that you can finance your hobby, because what essentially is flipping? It's a job, I guess you could say. You're buying things to sell in order to finance your hobby. Now, if you look at the resellers as morally wrong, you could just always work more hours at your job or get a second job to afford to finance your hobby. Or, since you already have the knowledge of collecting, if you see Hyperstone Heist, Ninja Turtles at a Goodwill like I did for like $1, you pick it up. Since I already have a copy, I'd sell it for, I don't know, 30 bucks on eBay. Or 25, whatever. I do make sure when I sell on eBay though that I always try to offer a lot lower than what everyone else is asking. Just because I like to sell my stuff fast and I want to be fair with my prices. I don't want to try to get rich off of this. That's not my point. I'm trying to build my collection up. Since we have this knowledge of values of games, we can use that to our advantage in order to finance our collection. So that's why a lot of us YouTubers go out there to garage sales. We know what things are worth, so we know that if we can get a game for 50 cents and flip it for $15, that's money in our pocket to finance our hobby. Now if you're using that strategy to pay your bills or whatever, I think then you become one of those resellers, because then you're in it for reasons other than the hobby of collecting. You're in it to put money in your pocket and pay your bills. You become one of those guys, and who's to say you won't ask a higher price to be able to finance your bills? I think then that's when you've crossed the line into one of those resellers rather than doing it for the hobby. What do you guys think about this? Once I looked down on resellers, but then I was realizing that they were doing this as collectors first, and they were doing this reselling of doubles and everything else to finance their hobby. And then I kind of seen where they were coming from. And after doing it myself, I realized it's not that bad of a thing. It's not that big of a deal. As long as you're not crossing that line that we see them other resellers do, like the outlandish prices that are just beyond reasonable. You know, 20 bucks for Mario and Duck Hunt, 30 for Mario 3, stuff like that. I believe that's kind of crossing the line, because you see these guys that are doing this for reasons other than the collecting reasons, and they're doing it for the money, and they're not doing it for the love of the hobby anymore. And that's my stance on the whole issue. I've kind of found myself starting to resell, although I think I do it on a more reasonable level. I'm not necessarily doing it to pay, you know, for my bills or anything. I'm doing it to finance further collecting for my hobby. Where do you guys stand on this? Do you think it's okay to resell in some instances, or do you think that all resellers are bad and they're all the devil? Or are you like in the middle ground like I am kind of? Once I was, you know, looking down on these guys, and now I kind of understand where they're coming from. So leave me a video response or comment below on what you guys think about this. And thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Thumbs up the video, and I'll catch you next time.